Good evening. So just popped on to answer a question. Or then this is a topic that comes up actually quite a lot. So when I saw it, I thought actually it'd be really useful just to pop on here, so that you guys can also benefit from the answer. So a lot of people will tell me that their anxiety seems worse at night. And interestingly, some people will say their anxiety is worse in the morning. And I know I've talked about that before because that's when we will get a natural boost of adrenaline. And if we've already kind of overproducing adrenaline and stress hormone, then we don't really need that extra boost. And we can really feel it physically in our bodies. Often people will describe feeling sick or overwhelmed or just that sort of feeling of dread. Now, but for some people, they might say it feels worse at night. Now, this is because we create a habit. Okay, so it may be, so for example, at the moment with this coronavirus, obviously the news is on. It's on all day, but a lot of people tend to kind of watch it more in the evening when the days come to a close. We've stopped doing whatever it is we're doing, and it's the time where traditionally we will sit down and maybe watch a bit of TV or whatever it is. And so some people will habitually watch the news at night. Therefore, they are then going to have more thoughts about the coronavirus in the evening because that's when it's on their mind more. That's when they are focusing more on their thoughts about it. So, and then people might say, well, actually, maybe I should just stop watching the news. And actually, if you know it makes you feel overwhelmed, then yeah, just watch stuff on a need to know only basis. Like we need to know practical things, but actually we don't need to know, such and such a person that died from it and what conditions they had and how old they were. And that's really not actually that helpful for any of us. It really just creates, again, a whole load of anxious thinking. Now, one example that I give quite often in on my courses and things like that is, I can't remember which coach or mentor it came from originally. It might be Michael Neal, but say, for example, on the news where you've got the ticker tape at the bottom, you've got the banner at the bottom where it kind of gives you the highlights of the news for the day. Say, for example, it said at the bottom of that ticker tape, 3 people killed in bomb in Syria, for example. Now, I might see that, I'll have a thought about it, I'll have a feeling, probably a feeling of sadness or fear and some discomfort of like, oh, that's awful. Now, it's not that I'm not a compassionate person, but then I might, say the news is on mute and I've only seen that headline and then I think, oh, that's really sad. And then I'm thinking, oh, God, I've only got 20 minutes and I need to leave, or whatever else it is then on my mind. There's thoughts about the bomb drop and then I start to think about something else. And that's what thoughts do. They very naturally come and go. They drop and we replace them with another thought, hundreds and thousands of them a day. So say, for example, I look at the news again and in the ticker tape at the bottom, it says 3 people killed in bomb in Manchester. Same thing, a bomb, people lost lives, still as sad, still as, both situations, whether it's in Syria or in Manchester, are extremely sad and distressing. But it's likely that the one where it says bomb in Manchester is going to impact me more. And the reason for that is because I'm going to then bring that statement to life. I'm going to bring those thoughts to life. I'm going to give value to those thoughts. I'm going to relate to those thoughts. So I'll probably stop what I'm doing. I'll turn the volume up. I'll probably sit down. I'll get closer to the TV. I'll listen intently. I'll probably go on my phone and start going on social media to see if I can get any more clarification or information, and I'm going to really bring that to life. We experience anything and everything every second of every day through our thinking. And thoughts are actually relatively neutral. Well, they are neutral until we give value and energy to them. And so where we put that focus is then going to be the experience of how we feel. So if we have anxious thoughts about a situation, we're going to feel anxious. Now, everything is inside out. There's nothing external. We face challenges. We face really difficult things in life, but it's only ever our perception, because we're only ever experiencing it through our thinking and our consciousness that brings that to life. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know it was happening. And here's the other thing, just to mention, that when consciousness is like this awareness, isn't it, of what's going on, and again bringing our thoughts into fruition. Okay, because again we wouldn't know we were thinking if we weren't aware of our thoughts. They wouldn't affect us either. And our levels of consciousness fluctuate. And some people might like to think of it easier, thinking like your mood, for example, will fluctuate all day, every day. We'll go from low state of mind up to higher state of mind. And this can fluctuate massively. I mean, I can be driving in the car, listening to music, dancing away, having the time of my life. And 10 minutes later, something just feels like it comes over me. And I feel like flat now. What's the matter with me? Levels of consciousness. Now, I don't get too worried about that now. In the past, I would have held on to that thinking, oh, why do I feel like this now? And why is my mood lower? Whereas now I just know it's a normal part of being human being. I just let it do its thing and flow. And it makes it less scary. But here's the thing about feeling anxious at night as well, is that actually, if you're tired, your consciousness levels, you're probably lower down the ladder there. When we're in a lower state of mind, lower level of consciousness, it can feel like our world shrinks a little bit, which means that it's almost like we become in this little bit of a bubble. And so if you think about the thoughts that we're having almost feel so contained, they can feel more intense. They can, and the thing of it is that we really, more often than not, start to believe our thoughts to be true. So for example, if you're in a higher state of mind and you could be doing something and feeling like you're right at the top level of your consciousness and your mood and everything is at the top, and you might have a thought of, God, this coronavirus is scary. Now, you might feel that for a second. You will feel it because you feel all of you thinking, but you feel that for a second. It's a bit uncomfortable, but it's one of many thoughts you're having, and your world is open and it goes. You can have that exact same thought at a time when you're in a lower state of mind, a lower level of consciousness, and you can hold on to it. You think, oh God, I'm having these thoughts, so they must be true. Like this is something I've got to figure out. This is something I've got to think about. Like this, I've got to fix this right now. We see it as a problem. We see our thinking that we start to believe to be true as a problem that we need to fix, rather than an experience we're having through our thinking. And the difficulty with that is, as soon as we see a problem that needs to be fixed, what we do is we go into solution mode. What do I need to do? Okay, maybe I need to make sure, is everyone I know okay? Is everyone all right? Are all my friends okay? What would happen if I got it? What would happen with this? What would happen with that? And that's where the layering of the thoughts gets bigger and bigger. The more anxious thinking, the more anxious feeling. And so it's not the thoughts themselves that create us the suffering and the discomfort. It's us holding on to them, it's us layering them, and it's when we start to believe that they're true, and we tend to hold on to it more because we're at a lower level of consciousness. Now, all of us, no exceptions, are going to experience that. Our levels of consciousness, our state of mind, do not stay in one place. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. So this is not going to be unique to anybody. And the more you understand this stuff and the more you see how it works, the less scary it becomes. And actually now when I'm in a low, not every time, because I am human, I do get caught up in it sometimes still, but what I do now with a lower state of mind, I just see it as a little warning or a little kind of indicator to me as a time where I need to be way more compassionate with myself. I need to allow myself to switch off. I need to do something that feels nice, whether that be chatting to someone who makes me laugh or, and I stop taking my life so seriously. Because that's the other thing. And I know there'll be people watching this saying, well, this virus is serious. Of course it is. And I'm abiding by everything that I'm asked to do and sticking to the rules. But right now, in this moment, my experience is that I am well, I am healthy, I'm doing what I need to do, and that is all that I can focus on. And even if I did become unwell, I'd still only have each individual moment to just know what to do. And the more we allow our minds to settle a little, the more our wisdom and our just our internal sat-nav, as I like to call it, that will guide us, that wisdom, that thing that's much bigger than us, will tell me what to do. I'll know what to do every step of the way. I don't need to plan it all out. I don't need to think about it consistently and constantly in order to know what to do. I'm just going to know. And that's going to feel much easier with a quieter mind. So I just wanted to share that, and I hope everyone's okay. Let's have a look. Someone though, I don't worry as much as I used to do though. That's good. That's because you're in the right place, Alison. Let's have a look. Sometimes my brother can't sleep in days properly due to anxiety, worrying all the time. He worries about everything. He has bad thought. How can he learn to relax? Okay. It's not about necessarily learning to relax. I mean, people can try and learn to relax. So people do meditation and relaxation, and that is fantastic. And some people, in practice can get really good at that. But I know when I was severely anxious and I would try to meditate or I would try to relax, I was so highly alert and highly sensitive at that time that, even trying to shut my eyes, I'd feel dizzy and then I'd feel more anxious because I'd think, oh, I can't even meditate. I'm so broken that I can't even do that. And so the key is really about it is to understand more about how all of this works, because often what will happen is people are worrying, and then what happens is it becomes more anxious about getting anxious, worrying about worrying, and the physical symptoms and things that brings. So we really just needs to explore how all of this stuff works, so as not to get too caught up in a fear cycle. Let's have a look. Yeah. So, we are all going to worry. That's the other thing. Part of human nature is that we worry, and that's okay. It's not, as I say, that's not really the suffering. It's the suffering comes in the holding on to it, the feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, because we become so habitually in this habit of overthinking absolutely everything. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave that there, and I will catch up with you all very, very soon. Bye for now.